Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so, as you all know, Sonic Origins Plus is coming out in the summer on Sonic's birthday, June 23rd. You know, this is something we all assumed since it leaked on a Korean website earlier in the year. So we knew that Sega wanted to follow the whole formula with Sonic Mania and Sonic Mania Plus and make a Sonic Origins Plus, especially since they worked with Canon, which is Christian Whitehead's team, on Mania and Origins. That was officially announced, and it's crazy how I predicted it in my previous video. I said it was a rumor, and it was just perfect timing. It was a lengthy video because I recorded some of Sonic Frontiers DLC and I uploaded it on that same day that it came out. So while the news popped up and the trailer Sonic Origins Plus came out, that's when my video was literally uploading. So yeah, crazy coincidence. But yeah, Sonic Origins Plus is coming out. So now that's two DLCs we're getting. Sonic Origins Plus, which is virtually a DLC. We're going to get 12 Game Gear games, and Amy's going to be a playable character, and of course Sonic Frontiers DLC. So speaking of Amy Rose, I got a lot I want to talk about regarding her, but before I do all that, be sure to smash the like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's see if we can get to 100,000 subscribers before Sonic's birthday. Alright, now before I talk about Amy, Canon and Sega have finally made amends. Now if you guys remember, last year, shortly after Sonic Origins came out, Canon came and wrote like a thread on Twitter complaining about their gripes with Sega and working with Sega, how much of a pain it was, and how Sega rushed them and didn't let them really polish any of the games in the compilation, especially Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So that was pretty sad because they wanted to come back and fix things, but Sega didn't really allow them because they wanted to rush it out on Sonic's birthday. Good old Sega still rushing things, and yeah, so that's why the game came out in such a mid state. But looks like Sega and Canon finally patched things up because they brought Canon over to not only fix things for Origins Plus, but to include Amy. So Canon was the one that worked on Amy Rose being a playable character. So let's read their tweets. It's coming, Sonic Origins Plus. We're happy to announce that we've once again cooperated with Sega to update this project. We can't resist Sonic. Here's some of what you can look forward to in Origins Plus, continued in thread. We were excited to hear that Sega wanted to make Amy playable, and we couldn't resist an opportunity to help her into the spotlight. New playable characters need new sprites, and our own A-Start show was certainly up to the design task while Dashpad SPD performed data management. Knuckles is now playable in Sonic CD, thank God, as well. As with the inclusion of playable Amy, we were thrilled to provide some new graphics to complement Sega's efforts in making this possible. Alongside Sega's work in updating the collection, we were also able to supply a few additional updates and enhancements to help make the title the best it can be. We appreciate their openness to our feedback and suggestions. We're very proud to have had a hand in bringing out the best in this collection. Sega have placed a lot of trust in us by allowing this, and we appreciate that greatly. We can't wait for you to experience it. So they're working on Amy, Knuckles and CD, and it's kind of weird though when you realize like, wait, Knuckles wasn't playable on Sonic CD, because that was a real lazy port. Sonic 1, CD, and 2 were all just ported from the Christian Whitehead remakes on the mobile devices. The only thing that was really worked on was Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and that one was rushed. But now Sega brought over Canon to rework all those Christian Whitehead remakes and put Knuckles in CD, because it's not like Tails was even playable in the original Sonic CD. So I'm glad you can play as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and Amy. I think Amy's also playable in CD. That would be weird if she wasn't, since that's when she was introduced. So Sonic CD even got better now because you can play as all 4 characters. That's great. But alright, enough of that. Let's talk about Amy, because there's been a lot of discourse and talk lately about whether or not Amy Rose will get a super hyper form, and if she even deserves it. Now, of course, on Twitter, nobody is reasonable, and some of these people were being called sexists and misogynists. Now, I'm not on Twitter like that anymore, so I don't know people's intentions. But I'm going to assume not everyone complaining about Amy going super is being a misogynist when they say they don't want Amy to have a super form. Now, I can understand what some are saying about this, the people complaining about this, they probably just don't want the form to be easily accessible by all of Sonic's friends. Because it's like with Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and the issues a lot of the fans had with it, how Super Saiyan had turned into a joke. Or as Vegeta said in the Buu Saga, it's a Super Saiyan bargain sale. When he saw Trunks turn into a Super Saiyan and he said, oh yeah, Goten can turn into a Super Saiyan as well. Now it wasn't that bad, but then as we get into Dragon Ball Super, it's like everybody can be a Super Saiyan. And I really love the Tournament of Power arc, but one person called it the Oprah arc. I'm like, why do you say that? He's like, because it's like everyone gets a power up in that arc. Like, you get a power up, you get a power up, and you get a power up. That was funny, but I understood that they were trying to beef up a lot of the characters so they can match up to Goku and Vegeta and their opponents. Obviously, they weren't stronger, but they had to be stronger. Let's face it, Goku and Vegeta have hugely surpassed a lot of the original Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball characters. You know, the gap is insane. So, you know, Toei Animation had to kind of bridge that gap. And especially in Dragon Ball Super superhero movie, you see Piccolo and Gohan get huge power increases. You know, like Piccolo gets his orange Piccolo form, which is great. I don't know where that puts him in the power scale, but I think it's even more powerful than, I don't know, maybe Boo. And then you get Beast Gohan, which is so powerful. Some people are saying he's even more powerful than Ultra Ego Vegeta. But I can understand that. That's one of the reasons why we've only been seeing Supersonic for over a decade now without any forms, new forms, especially Hyper, because Sega doesn't want that power creep issue to be with the series. So that's why I can kind of understand that. Now, what I don't understand is when some people are like, why do you guys want to see Super Amy so much? What's the deal with that? I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't want to have to go out of my way playing all the special stages in Sonic 1, 2, CD, and 3 and Knuckles and not be rewarded with a super form. You know, it ain't that deep. It's just basic game mechanics. All the classic games have special stages. You play them, collect the Chaos Emeralds. You're expecting to go super. Only with Tails and 3 and Knuckles, you have to go out of your way to get the Chaos Emeralds and the Super Emeralds just to get Super Tails. But Super Tails was so fucking broken that it was a huge reward. So you had no problem going out of your way to get all the Emeralds and Super Emeralds to achieve that. So basically, every classic character can achieve a super form in the classic games, besides Sonic. You know, Tails, Knuckles, even Mighty and Ray. But the only characters in that era whose super forms have been consistently canon is Knuckles. You know, Super Knuckles. He mentioned that in Frontiers. You know, when Knuckles was taunting Sonic and was like, oh, I could have defeated that Titan with Super Knuckles. You never hear Super Tails. Ever since 3 and K, you've never even heard Tails utter Super Tails, which makes you wonder, is that form even canon? So you never hear Tails mention that, or mention that he was accompanied by Super Flickies. Things like that makes you wonder if it's a game mechanic. You know, granted, in Sonic Mania, Tails just needed 7 Chaos Emeralds to go to a super form, but it was just him just glowing. There were no flickies. Maybe he has to get the Super Emeralds, kind of like a hyper form of Tails, in order to get the Super Flickies. Or maybe, I don't know, because you only got the 7 Chaos Emeralds and not the Chaos and the Super Emeralds, or the Super Emeralds, which are pretty much the Chaos Emeralds charged up by the Master Emerald. Maybe that's why you didn't see the flickies. But here's the thing. Everyone else in Sonic Mania, besides Sonic and arguably Knuckles, had the same type of super form. They were just glowing. At least with Knuckles, he turns into like a pinkish form. But with Tails, Mighty, and Ray, they were just glowing. It's almost like a invincibility frame, you know, like when they get the invincible item. And Mighty and Ray were never intended to be main playable characters in the series, ever since that Sega Sonic arcade game. In fact, Sega only allowed Christian Whitehead to use them in Mania Plus as a one-time thing. That's why they're not going to be in Origins Plus. So if they can achieve super states in Mania, then why can't Amy achieve a super state in Origins Plus? And playing as Amy in Sonic 1 to 3 and Knuckles, or Knuckles in Sonic 1, 2, CD, or Tails in Sonic 1 and CD isn't even canon. So why are some of you so concerned about Amy now, when you're playing as characters that weren't even meant to be playable in the respective games? Now I hear some people say, oh, Amy, she can stand on her own without going super. She's strong and capable and independent and all that. So can Mighty and Ray. They can stand on their own without needing super states. I mean, Mighty's pretty broken in his normal form anyways. You know, he can ground slam objects and can jump on spikes without taking damage. And with Ray, if you're good at controlling his flight, he can skip through the entire level. So he's more broken than Tails, yet they can turn super. So you gotta make it make sense, guys. Now, how will Amy's super form look like? Now, in case you didn't know, I was using both super forms and super states interchangeably. To me, they are different. Now, Sonic, Shadow, Silver, and Knuckles, and even Tails to a degree, they all have super forms. Sonic, obviously his super form, he turns yellow, his spikes go upward like a Super Saiyan. The same with Shadow, the same with Silver. And Knuckles, with Knuckles, he turns into a lighter pink color. And Tails, you know, in 3NK, he had the Flicky Army of Death, as some would say it, or he just had superpowered Flickies. But Mighty and Ray, they just have super states. They don't have a super form, nothing in them, like they don't change colors, their form doesn't change, they just look the same, they're just glowing. So that's what I think will happen to Amy. Amy will most likely get a super state like Mighty and Ray instead of a super form. Super forms, they change your appearance and or your color, and the super states, they change just your power level and status, like Mighty and Ray. And Tails as well in Mania. Tails in 3NK has a super form, but Tails in Mania has a super state. So let's pretend if Amy Rose actually did have a super form, and mind you, this is going to be classic Amy, it'll probably be rose gold. It shouldn't be yellow because of Sonic. You know, I know a lot of you thinking, well, she's a hedgehog, so she should be yellow like Sonic and Shadow. But if you remember, Shadow wasn't really yellow when he started in Sonic Adventure 2. In his first appearance as Super Shadow, it was more as a silver texture, and then they changed it to gold, but it was a very faded gold, almost looked like vanilla yellow, you know, something like that. It wasn't as yellow as Sonic's super form. So that would be cool if we get like a rose gold Amy. And will she have a Flicky with her like in Sonic Adventure 1? I'm not sure, since we're dealing with classic Amy here, not modern Amy. Should Amy get a hyper form? No, definitely not, because only Sonic and Knuckles have achieved hyper forms, and they haven't even been used since Sonic 3 Knuckles. Now, here's my headcanon. Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it a headcanon because I can use evidence to back it up, but since hyperforms are connected with the Master Emerald, there's a reason why only Sonic and Knuckles can achieve this. Now with Sonic, the prophecy, as you can see on the mural in Hidden Palace, that's why Sonic can achieve hyper. As for Knuckles, you know, he's the guardian of the Master Emerald, so he has extensive knowledge of the Master Emerald. He can turn hyper. That's about it. No one else can turn hyper, not Tails, not Shadow, not even Silver. Like I said, this isn't that deep. This is probably not going to be canon at all. Amy will not be able to go super in the comics. It'll just be an extra addition, like Sonic having soap shoes in Frontiers. You know, obviously that's not canon. It's just an aesthetic thing. So yeah, I think some people are taking this a little bit too seriously. But what do you guys think about all this? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think Amy is going to get a super form, a hyper form, or just a super state? And how do you feel about this? Are you excited about it? Do you not care? Or do you think just Amy shouldn't really have a super form and they should just find a way to maneuver those special stages so you can still be rewarded? Let me know. All right, that's all I have for now, so take care. And until next time, I'm out.